All right, it's 9 o'clock, and I'll call to order the May 24th meeting of the Saline County Commission. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick?
Here.
Commissioner Sparks?
Here.
Commissioner Vidrickson?
Here.
Commissioner Weiss?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Okay, now if we'll all stand for a flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now enter into the citizen input portion of our meeting. Citizens may speak on items limited to 3 minutes on items that are not on our agenda. Is there anyone that would wish to come speak? Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. Our consent agenda consists of approval of tax roll adjustments, approval of disposition of property, approval of approval of Salina Area Chamber of Commerce agreement, approval of Farm Bureau tire agreement, approval of accounts payable is presented, approval of payroll is presented, and approval of public forum agenda as presented. Any commissioners wish to amend, change?
I have a question, Phil, for you regarding the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds for the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, when I read this, it appears to me that the Chamber was in charge of giving away all $10 million. I mean, that's just my initial thought.
No, that prime award amount is on the first page of every single one of those contracts.
Say that again.
The prime award amount, the $10,532,376, that's on the first page of every single one of those contracts.
Okay, so not every single, I understand
Yeah.
then.
So there's a specific section that I believe it's at the top of page 2 that talks about the dollar amount for each of the individual contracts. So for the chamber, I believe it's $45,000, and it's specific to them doing the promotion of the Choose Saline County app.
So that $10 million would show up on
Everyone.
everything, irregardless whether it's the chamber or anybody else?
Correct.
Okay, that clarifies that for me. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We now move into our action items. Item number 1.
RFA 153-22, 2021 Financial Audit, Philip Smith-Haynes, County Administrator.
Yes, Philip.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. So each year the county prepares financial statements. Actually, we engage with an accounting firm to help us prepare those financial statements, but we are legally responsible for preparation of the financial statements, which are then audited by an independent outside auditing firm. And we have engaged the firm of Lindbergh, Vogel, Pierce Ferris to perform the audit of our financial statements for a number of years. The audit for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2021 is now complete, and I will introduce Randy Hoffmeyer of the firm Lindbergh, Vogel, Pierce Ferris to present the audit report and answer any questions the commission may have.
Good morning, Mr. Hoffmeyer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have a copy of the audit in front of you?
Yes.
Should have a cover page and 3 pages of table of contents, which is followed by the independent auditor's report, which is what you've, the biggest part of our work product is right here. It's probably the most important part. And the first paragraph describes the financial statements that were audited, which those financial statements were prepared in accordance with the regulatory basis of accounting in the state of Kansas. The next two paragraphs are the audit opinion. Now, this year, the audit report is laid out a little bit differently than it has been in the past. We get right to the point of what the opinion is. So the first of the opinion paragraphs expresses an adverse opinion on GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, because we've prepared your financial statements on the regulatory basis. The next paragraph shows that you have received an unmodified opinion in accordance with the regulatory basis of accounting. In other words, you received a clean opinion on your financial statement. We talk a little bit about the opinions down below that on page 2 at the top. It describes management's responsibility for the financial statement, as Phil alluded to. And below that, the auditor's responsibility for the financial statement. Those are the biggest parts of the audit report that I wanted to talk about. You also had a single audit this past year, which is an audit of your federal financial assistance programs. Right. And that's required whenever you expend over $750,000 of federal funds. This year, the two programs that we had to audit were the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infant, and Children's, and the Epidemiology Laboratory Capacity Grant for Infectious Diseases. And there are reports back towards the back on page 60 and 61 that describe our report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. And then on page 64 and through 66, there's a report on compliance for each major program and on internal controls and over compliance required by the uniform guidance. I'll go back to the financial statement. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Since the county issued debt in 2021, the cash balance that is shown on page 6 is up substantially. And it's pretty easy to find why the cash balance is up. You have over $76 million on hand at the end of the year for your jail project. A little over $4 million on hand at the end of the year for your communications radio project. You started collecting sales tax for the jail project, and you had over $4 million on hand for that. And then you received over $5 million of American Rescue Plan funds, or the state and local fiscal recovery funds. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions?
If you ever have any questions about the financial statements, you can always call me. I'm always happy to talk to you.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you.
Comments or questions, or comments from the commission?
None.
Any comments from the public?
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the 2021 financial audit as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 153-22, the 2021 financial audit. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 2.
RFA 147-22, Saline Solution ARPA Grant, Annie Grievous, Community Corrections Director.
Good morning, Annie.
This is a request, seeking approval for community corrections to apply for the Safer and Healthier Saline County Grant Program in the ARPA funds. We're applying under the Community Public Health, Community Mental Health, and Criminal Justice. Specifically, I find this to be under the Community Criminal Justice, but because the project will address citizens that make decisions to pay fines and fees instead of pay for mental health services, substance abuse services, or even food and medication is what we're finding throughout the last few years, to avoid arrest and detention. We consider this also a part of those pieces. So the project is to do a thorough assessment on the impact of the cost and fines on residents of Saline County and the city of Salina. The assessment will include development of a survey completed by all the impacted persons, citizens of our community, data collection from 1,000 participants, data analysis and implementation, hopefully of a pilot project that offers alternative pathways to address fines and fees obligations. We were in front of the City Commission last night and got full support, and they will be doing a letter of endorsement or support for this application. I further have a letter of support from 4 service providers, CKF, Mental Health Center, my agency, and the court. The court administrator signed it. So I'm seeking permission today to apply for that. I would like to have the permission to sign off on the application. It is due June 6th. We are not quite done, but we're within the next couple of days finalizing it. Very exciting project. So it's a national problem, but we're seeing an issue in this community, definitely. And we think that we can at least find out what the participants and the citizens think and then move from there. We have reached out to K-State and we'll be hiring a researcher that'll provide us with the data and the analysis of those things, and that'll be a part of the grant application. The grant is also not requiring but recommending a match, and we will do a lot of in-kind matches using city staff, some county staff, a lot of volunteer time, and a lot of supplies from other agencies. So I'm seeking permission to be able to sign off on this application and apply for the ARPA funds through Saline County.
All right. Questions from the commissioners?
Yes. Annie, one of my questions is that with the conduct survey of 1,000 residents, do you have an idea of what the demographics of those residents would be?
Well, part of the application is what part of our community are we impacting? We know that we're impacting the traditionally underserved. They live in the northwest part of our city and county. We know that they're long-term into areas of poverty, unemployment, long-term time into the criminal justice system. And that's kind of the population we believe will mostly impact, but it'll be interesting to see because we do have 3 partner agencies. We have the court, district court, which will be court services, community corrections, and municipal court. And we will be going to those locations several times to get at least 1,000 participants. It wouldn't surprise me if we got more. We'll be offering gift cards to the participants to fill out the survey. And I think that we'll find that we're serving that population of the underserved.
Okay.
Does that answer your question clear
Yes,
enough?
so that is, you will be surveying people that has been affected or would affect
Yeah.
these here. It's
And-
not
and-
just the general public out here, that these
Well,
are-
they are your general public.
I know,
They're
but
your
what
citizens that pay taxes and
Okay,
work and hold down jobs and have children in schools, in our public schools. So I try to remember that there are citizens, and so I want to remember that. So some some might be more of what you're describing as a general public from Uni Court and other courts that just come in and leave right away, but have large fines and fees that they are trying to still pay off.
Okay.
So, and we kind of looked at it, all of them, persons that are under some sort of form of supervision.
Okay. Thank you.
And just to clarify, does this 58,000 come out of the ARPA funds that the county received, correct?
So Annie's RFA is to get permission to submit an application. So then the application pursuant to the process that the commission previously approved, that application will then be reviewed by an independent group of reviewers, and then it would come back to you for final award if it's one of the top projects that fits into that 250,000 that was allocated.
So this just gets it into the process?
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to say, even though I know none of you will be reviewing it, it is a perfect fit for ARPA. It's a one-time drop, 2 years of funding. We're not asking for additional funds out of this. We're just seeking this one-time drop to do it and then possibly set up a pilot project. But it's a excellent project to be looking at because it could reduce your jail population. It'll reduce arrests, so that our police and sheriff's officers will spend less time arresting people on multiple warrants due to not failure to pay for fines. So we know it's a significant population issue in our jail. We've talked to Brent Mealander and Roger Solden, so that is a population that just a couple of years ago when we were talking about reduction of jail population, that was a population we were going to try to get out of there. And this is an excellent project to start that process.
My question, as you've been speaking, regarding the independent group that takes care of this, do you put all of the things that you just requested from us in that letter, or you don't get a seat in front of them to request this money?
It's my
correct?
understanding we won't be in front of that
It
independent
almost seems like
panel.
that's where the process needs to go, to me, because they're the ones that are going to say, yeah, we need to give community corrections this amount of money, or we don't, and the request is here, but we vote on it in the end, but we're not the ones saying how much it's going to be.
I know, and I agree with you, and if Phil will open the door for Annie to come in, I'm there.
And I'm all for, anytime there's grant money, let's go get it. I'm for that. The whole commission has been consistent with that approach,
Yes, you have, thank you.
so.
Any other questions of the commission? Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve to apply for the Safer and Healthier Saline County Grant Program as presented by staff.
Second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 147-22 Saline Solution ARPA grant. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Annie.
very much.
Thank you, Annie.
Item number 3.
RFA 148-22, right-of-way, Falun Road. Justin Mader, County Engineer.
Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Commissioners. So my office has designed a road improvement project and reinforced concrete box replacement project on Falun Road, a half a mile east of Burma Road. The floodwaters frequently overtop the roadway at this location, so this project's going to raise the roadway 1.5 to 2 feet in elevation, and thus we'll need to construct a much larger drainage structure. These improvements will increase the level of service from a 1 to 2 year overtopping frequency to approximately a 10-year overtopping frequency. This project, along with 5 other locations around Saline County, are bundled together for a FEMA Section 428 project. This FEMA program will reimburse Saline County for all 6 locations up to $1.2 million. In order to construct and maintain this project, additional road right-of-way easements will be necessary. Therefore, the Road and Bridge Department is requesting the approval to purchase permanent road right-of-way easements along this project as shown in the right-of-way exhibit sheet you should have in your packet. The red hatched area is the area of proposed right-of-way, while the green hatched area shows the additional temporary construction easement. And temporary construction easements is just easements that allow the contractor use of that land, and then the easement will go away as soon as construction is completed. All landowners have been directly contacted to discuss the scope of the project and explain the need for the additional easements. Each landowner has agreed to sell their property for roadway easements at the value shown in the staff recommendation section. And these offers are based off of donations of all non-production land, $2,000 for pasture ground, and $4,500 for dry land crop ground. Alternatives for action would be to 1, approve the road right-of-way offer for roadway easements as indicated in staff recommendation. 2, to approve a different offer for each parcel. Or 3, deny the purchasing of the right-of-way and direct staff accordingly. Staff recommends to purchase the following easements. The parcel northwest of the structure is owned by the Brenda L. Hemmer Trust. And we're requesting to obtain 1/10 of an acre of non-production ground for $0 and 7/100 of an acre of non-production ground for a temporary construction easement. The parcel northeast of the structure is owned by Daniel M. Rockles Trust Number 1 and Penny B. Rockles Trust Number 1. We're asking to obtain 2/200 of an acre of pasture ground for $2,000 per acre, and 51/1,000 of an acre for pasture ground for a temporary construction easement, as well as an allowance to reconstruct a fence along this property for no more than $3,000. The parcel southwest of the structure is the Kelly and Kelly Peel Family Trust. We're asking to obtain 1/1300 of an acre of production ground for permanent road right-of-way, and 36/1000 of an acre of non-production ground for a temporary construction easement. And then finally, the parcel southeast of the structure is the Virgil H. Applequist Trust, asking to obtain 2/200 of an acre of dry land production ground, crop ground for permanent road right-of-way for $4,500 per acre, as well as obtain 22/1000 of an acre of non-production ground for a temporary construction easement. So the total right-of-way acquisition cost would be $4,430. We're requesting that the cost to acquire the right-of-way be taken out of the 125 account, which is our special bridge construction, our 2 mil account, and that has a balance of around $3 million.
Quick question.
Yes.
Our special bridge construction, isn't that a 2 mil?
It is a 2 mil. As I was reading it there, I noticed I had an error in my report.
All right, questions from the commission?
Do you have any idea of what the cost of this bridge and this, doing all this will be?
I do. As I was sitting there, I knew you were going to ask that, and I don't have it in front of me, and my brain isn't telling me a number that I would want to throw out there. Sorry about that, but I can get that for you if you're wanting to know.
One of those things. I just.
The largest expense seems to be the fence item.
Yes.
Do we bid that out, or do we do that ourselves?
So no, so typically on a box replacement project, we're looking at about 100 to 150 feet on each side of the structure, and we usually have that as a separate bid item for the bridge contractor to tear out and reconstruct once the structure and all the grading has been completed. But because this project's a lot longer, it's not just a drainage structure replacement project, it's a lot longer than that. In negotiations with the landowner, we thought it would just be best that we include the cost of rebuilding the fence be part of the right-of-way acquisition. Because an issue that you run into is that, the contractor will rebuild the fence, and it's not just perfect how the landowner wants it. And so if we just pay the landowner to replace the fence, then they're going to replace it how they want it. And so we met with the landowner, myself, met with a fencing contractor to get a bid to do that. And so that's what I'm still waiting on. They haven't got that to me yet. And so, but it should be less than $3,000.
Justin, your map that you provided us with shows, and I assume that this red is the proposed new right-of-way. I don't know how many feet that really represents, but what is the purpose of having to purchase further down the line? It looks like considerably more than what we already have for right-of-way.
Right, so.
Why do we need to do that?
Yeah, so we're raising the road up, 1.5 to 2 foot, mainly over in the structure, and then as you get further and further down the limits, further where we're tying in, it gets less. But the existing slopes from the road going down to the ditch are pretty steep, and so we'd like to, make improvements for that to construct a 4-to-1 slope. So, being a paved road, it's more heavily traveled than a gravel road. We want to just construct a safer slope. And so raising the road up, we're going to need to buy additional right-of-way, constructing flatter slopes. It just pushes the construction limits out a little bit further than what's there now. And we need to extend the project that long just because we need to raise the road up, and it's a pretty flat section right through there, and so that's why the limits extend so far out.
Do you feel that there will be enough aggregate in this right-of-way purchase here to actually raise the road that high?
No, the contractor's going to have to bring in some material to do that, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, it makes sense to me that that's the time and place to make those improvements and improve the slopes and such as all the road construction's going on. So instead of coming back later and trying to do that improvement, so.
And we found out doing some research and talking with people, the existing right-of-way is actually inside of the fence lines quite a bit, what's out there. And talking with some of the more experienced people in county government, I get, a lot of these roads were improved with, asphalt surfacing and grading, through a federal aid program quite a while ago. And the right-of-way was purchased but never filed with register of deeds. And so the fences got constructed, back where, they thought the right-of-way was going to be, but because that's was never filed with the register of deeds, it doesn't exist. And so we're having to obtain a little bit more right-of-way. That's already inside of the fence line, but that's all included in the non-production ground that's just going to be donated.
Any other questions, comments from the commission? Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the purchase of the easement listed in RFA 148-22.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We approve RFA 148-22 right-of-way for Falun Road. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Justin, before you get away, I'd like to ask about Simpson Road and the closure of Simpson between Crawford and Magnolia and the progress of that project and estimated time of finish.
So the progress of the project has been moving along quite well until today. The contractor's been in there, doing what they're needing to be doing. Reese Construction's one of the subcontractors that are extending 2 of the reinforced concrete boxes. That's been completed. There's 2 crossroad pipes that needed to be installed, and Mom Construction, who's a prime contractor, they've got those installed, and they started moving dirt yesterday. However, with the rain, it's going to be probably not much dirt work done this week. And so it's, again, the hope, and talking with their prime contractor, they still think it can be done by the middle of June. They're going to bring in some big scrapers to move a lot of dirt pretty quick. You know, and so that's still our goal. You know, however, the contract is a 90-day working day contract. You know, and so the contractor does have, you know, well, that'd be 4 months from when the project started. There's no way they don't think it's going to take that long. But it's really all going to be based off of the rain. If this is the only rain that we have, and there's a lot of agricultural folks out there in the public that don't want to hear this, but I'm hoping that we're not going to have a whole lot more rain. That means that we can get the project done pretty quick. You know, so, but it's really the weather's going to depend on it. But long story short, we're really still hoping that it can be done before the middle of June, before wheat harvest.
All right. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go to item number 4.
RFA 149-22, CHIP Grant Health Fair. Rosie Walter, Department of Senior Services Director.
Good morning, Rosie.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Senior Services is requesting Commission approval to accept Saline Regional Health Foundation Community Health Investment Program, or CHIP, grant funding in the amount of $5,000. The original application that we submitted was for $10,000 for the Senior Health Fair. That is March 27, 2022. The award for $5,000. Oh, May. The award for $5,000 to cover refreshments for vendors, prizes for patrons. Prizes will include gym memberships and some fire extinguishers. The alternatives for action are deny all or part of the staff recommendations, which is to approve, or approve all or part of the staff recommendations. And the budget impact, there is no cost to the budget. Grant funding will cover refreshments and prizes.
All right, I have a question.
Okay.
The grant application's for $10,000. And I guess I can't read it looks like 3 items have a star beside them that weren't approved.
That they didn't give you a list of what was approved and what wasn't approved. They give you the $5,000, and it's just to go to what was
I see.
asked for.
All right.
So those
So
little
that's up
scratches
to
you see
you
are
to how
mine.
that 5,000 spent.
I'm sorry, what?
It's up to you to decide
Yes.
how that 5,000
Yes,
spent.
as long as it's spent on the items that we requested in the
Okay.
grant. Yeah.
All right, I understand.
I'll spend all of it.
Yeah, if you needed 10, I'm sure you'll spend all of 5.
Yeah,
This is coming in pretty close to the
know.
wire, isn't it?
I know. I can move quick.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about just a second ago with the community corrections. We're accepting $5,000 from the Saline Regional Health, $5,000 for your program, and I'd see no reason why we would turn it down.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Comments from the public? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the CHIP grant award in the amount of $5,000.
Second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 149-22, the CHIP grant for the health fair. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. And I will say thank you to the Saline Regional Health Foundation for this donation for our senior center. And I will give a plug that health fair is coming up this week.
Yes, this Friday. And we have 44 vendors already participating. So we project we'll probably have 450, 500 patrons that'll walk through. So, yeah, it'll be busy.
And another plug, you will be accepting any volunteers to come help.
Yeah.
You'll see me Wednesday, but I'm out of town Thursday, Friday, so
Okay,
I'll
well,
be
come
there
on
Wednesday
over.
to help.
I could use the help.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. All right, let me get back on track here. Item number 5.
RFA 150-22 Meals on Wheels American Pet Program Expansion Grant. Rosie Walter, Department of Senior Services Director.
Okay. Again, Senior Services is requesting commission approval to accept another grant of $5,000 from the Meals on Wheels America Discovery Grant. Meals on Wheels America awarded Senior Services $20,000 in February of 2022. All the key factors were met under that funding guidelines, which made us eligible for these additional funds. The Discovery Grant funding is designated to further expand our pet program, which is Meals on Wheels and healthcare for pets. The alternatives for action: deny all or part of the staff recommendations, approve all or part of the staff recommendations, and our recommendation is to approve the Meals on Wheels America Discovery Grant of $5,000. And there is no cost to the budget or to Saline County, our seniors.
All right, questions, comments from the commission? Any comments or questions from the public?
And excuse me, and I just happened to just think of this, is that this program where you've got it started and it's a big deal, is this a continual deal? Do you know, is this grant going to be available year after year after year possibly?
These are really startup funds, so I'm not really sure if they will. I will continue to apply for different grants.
Okay.
Maybe not from Meals on Wheels America, but from other grants I will.
Okay, thank you.
And donations and different fundraisers and.
Okay, thank you.
Bring it to the commission for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the grant funding for MOWA Discovery Grant in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 150-22 Meals on Wheels American Pet Program Expansion Grant. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 6.
RFA 151-22 Bid Award for Windows. Rosie Walter, Department of Senior Services Director.
You've been busy, Rosie.
I know, 3 in a week. Okay, Senior Services is requesting commission approval to accept the low bid for review windows in the amount of $232,875 to replace existing windows, exterior window sashes with new wood material, existing wood frames to remain, and install new insulated glazing. 2 bids were actually received, one from Pella and the last from Review. Pella's bid was under the alternative one, which is to replace all exterior windows and install aluminum-clad double-hung windows with screens, and their time frame is 37 weeks to replace or to receive supplies and a 60-day install. Their bid was for $265,788,000. Review is the base bid, which is to replace existing exterior window sashes with new wood material. Existing wood frames will remain and install new insulated glazing. Their time frame is 183 days for completion or completed by 2/1/2022. The center has 94 original windows that would be replaced. Review will keep the historic integrity of the building while providing insulated glazing to provide better insulation. The alternatives for action are deny all or part of the staff recommendations, approve all or part of the staff recommendations. The staff recommendation is to approve the low bid from Review for $232,875,000. The budget impact: window expenses will be paid from foundation funds received, Saline County CIP funds, and private donations. And the breakout of what we have scheduled is the CIP approved funds in the amount of $148,000 and the grant of $84,875 to equal $232,875. And I brought Johnny Adam with me if you have any questions about the windows.
I do have some questions. If John, come forward. The review bid is for just replacement of the sashes and such. what happens when we get in there and find that wood deterioration or such that there's some additional work that needs to be done?
Part of, the way I wrote the spec is they're going to repair anything, and they came out and looked at all the windows, so they know the extent of what we need to do. So they're going to repair any of the damage of the existing wood frames. There's some window sills that are in pretty poor condition. They're going to have to replace all that stuff. So they will take off the existing window screens and repair any of the existing wood windows and then replace all the sashes and the glazing.
And that'll be a finished product then, it's not?
Correct. And then they'll paint the exterior of the windows.
Okay.
And what is the insulated glazing? I mean, I'm just, is
It's
that
two
the?
panes of glass with like an argon
Oh,
in between.
that is what we're talking about. There's the.
Right. There's a low E coating on the exterior side, and on the inside, it's a clear coat.
Okay, gotcha.
One concern I have, and I appreciate the keeping it back to its authentic wood look, but there will be upkeep down the road when those windows are going to need to be repainted at some point, where the Pella product would be a non-maintenance issue.
Oh, there's always, even with the cladding, there's still, they have a coating on the aluminum clad, and there's still some maintenance that's going to have to be, caulking, and so a lot of that, to me, always gets a film on it where it doesn't usually always stay the exact color that it was. And with the window, it's going to be a 20-year warranty on the windows too. But again, you're right, there's maintenance on the review.
Go ahead, please.
I didn't catch your name, sir.
I'm John Am with A+ Architects here in Saline.
Okay, that's going to answer one of my questions. And you said that you wrote the spec, or, that we
Yes,
went
sir.
out for bid, and that was, so you're a licensed architect in that regard. I want to, for the public's sake, I want to acknowledge that, nearly $250,000 for windows is a pretty big expense. Luckily, we've got a pretty good grant money here to take care of part of this, and it's one of those necessary evils in an older building that the upkeep's got to be there. So we're going to have to spend the money, in my opinion. So that's my comments.
Also, these aren't small windows. There's some windows that's almost 7.5 feet tall.
Oh, I understand. And by the way, this does include installation, I assume?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
And removal of the existing.
right.
And they are a restoration contractor. So they've been doing this.
Where are they from, by the
They're
way?
out of Missouri, I believe. Kansas City, maybe Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri.
And they would be able to start right away, or what's
Correct.
the process here?
And with Pella, they couldn't even give us a start date.
Okay.
Well, this has been on our radar for a number of years, and we've addressed it in CIP before. And like Commissioner Shadwick has said in the past, we're responsible for the upkeep of these buildings and such, and we need to budget for these items. So I appreciate the fact that there is some grant funding that is going to help. In hindsight, I wish we'd have done it a year ago. I'm sure the pricing would have been quite a bit different than it is today, but that train's already left the station, so. Any more comments from the commission?
Just a quick question I just wanted to ask. In some of these specs here where they talk about all the windows will be double hung clad windows, is that even in those big, huge windows?
Yeah, the windows currently are double hung.
Okay.
There's some
So
fixed.
all
there's
the
some
windows are able to be opened and all that?
Not, I would say it would be probably pretty unsafe to try to open our windows existing as they are.
Yep. But these new ones will be able to be opened?
No, we
Okay.
won't do that definitely not in any public areas.
Okay, that's what I was, okay. Thank you.
And you do see, John, some savings on utilities in the future from.
Absolutely.
And one more quick other, have we taken care of all the roofing issues that we've had in the past?
We have taken care of the roofing issues. I still have one piece that I need to work on with the roof, some sort of cone that needs to go over one of the pipes, but, I mean, that's very, very minimal. But,
Okay.
yeah, I don't have any more water damage.
Okay, I'm just sitting here going, it's like, have we taken care of the upper before we
Yeah.
start on this? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Any other comments from the commission? Comments from the public? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the lowest bid to, from Review Windows in the amount of $232,875.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 151-22 bid award for windows. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to item number 7.
RFA 152-22, copier replacement, Brad Bowers, Information Technology Director.
Good morning, Brad.
Good morning. You have before you a request for action to replace 5 copier printing devices for the Saline County Health Department. We're requesting to purchase these devices from Consolidated Printing in the total cost of $21,916.64 for the hardware. These copiers will be used in the health department. The new copiers will replace copiers and printers that have been in use at the health department since 2014. Requirements for the new copiers were released, and we received back 3 quotes from Consolidated. We received back 3 quotes, one from Consolidated Printing of Salina, Document 360 Solutions of Salina, and ImageQuest. The quote results are in the table on your in the request for action. For the quotes broke out into two different categories: the cost of the actual hardware, the cost of the copier, and a maintenance contract. The maintenance contract will cover broken things on the copier throughout the life of the contract. Consolidated Printing had a cost for 5 copiers of $21,916.64. The maintenance costs were .01167 for black and white copies and .0654 for color. Document 360, they quoted 5 separate machines. And as you can see from the table, they cost various amounts. The main difference in what their bid was the speed of the copying and printing. For example, the first item for the 360 solutions was a 25-page per minute copier printer, and that's what all of the Consolidated Printing devices were. Their maintenance costs for each one of the different types of copiers that they bid were included in this table as well. The total cost of their copier spec was $27,549.95. That was for Document 360 Solutions. The ImageQuest copier cost was $35,044.04 for 5 Xerox C8145 copiers. That's the cost of the hardware, and their black and white and color maintenance costs were .005 and .035. We estimated the maintenance costs based on 10,000 copies for black and white, 10,000 copies for color copies. And I should back up. When I say copy, it's a tick of the counter. And you tick the counter whenever you run a copy through or whenever you print a page. It ticks the counter. So this maintenance cost is based on 10,000 ticks of the counter for black and white and 10,000 ticks for color. Consolidated Printing had a combined maintenance cost of $770 per year for the 10,000 black and white and 10,000 color. Document 360 combined maintenance costs were $570 per year, and the ImageQuest combined maintenance costs were $400 per year. Total cost of ownership on the copiers based on the 10,000 black and white and 10,000 color over 5 years are as follows. And for the total cost of ownership for the 5 years, we included the cost of the hardware as well. Consolidated Printing, I actually have a typo. I mistyped that. Consolidated Printing was actually $25,766.14. Document 360 was $30,399.95, and ImageQuest was $37,044.04. And again, I would emphasize that this is the 5-year total cost of ownership based on the cost of the copier and the maintenance items, considering 10,000 copies, color and black and white. Alternatives for action: approve the request as presented, or send us back for more research and work on this. Staff recommends purchasing these copiers from Consolidated Printing for a total cost for the hardware of $21,916.64, including a maintenance cost of .01167 for black and white copies and .0654 for color copies. This decision is based on the copier cost and the 5-year total cost of ownership for the copiers.
Oh, go ahead.
We budgeted $22,000 in the technology improvement plan in 2022 for this project. That's a typo as well. Sorry about that. But we put money in the budget to replace these copiers this year.
I have a
That's my report.
few questions for you, Brad. I'm sure there was a needs assessment done as far as needing 5 copiers. Is that just the logistics of where they're placed, and you can't have people sharing?
Let me give you a little history on how that came about. When the environmental folks were over at the health department, back when all the transition was happening, they had a copier at that time. So at that time, there was a total of 5. When they moved across the street to the Planning and Zoning Department, they brought one of those copiers with them. Okay, so that left the health department with 4. And talking with Jason, it would be best if we back purchased all 5, so that his staff would have the capability to use 5 copiers instead of 3, instead of the 4 they have now. So that's kind of how the 5 came about. They had 5 originally from the 2014 date, and when the environmental folks moved across the street to Planning and Zoning, they brought one of those copiers with them.
All right. 2 more questions. The 5-year contract, we will own these copiers, but the service contract maintenance will be a 5-year?
It'll only be a 1 year. We'll sign those in 1-year increments. I did the 5-year so I could illustrate the total cost of ownership over 5 years based on the maintenance costs. So we're not going to sign a 5-year contract. We're going to sign an annual
So
contract.
we could purchase these and have a 1-year maintenance, and then the next year maintenance could jump significantly, and we still have that machine.
True, that could happen. It has not happened. The Consolidated Printing does have the maintenance on the copiers today, and that has not happened over the life of the contract. But is it possible? Certainly. And, based on contract language, I'm not exactly sure what the contract talks about with respect to that, but we can add some notification or things like that in the contract language if Mr. Montoya's deemed necessary.
Disposing of is this a trade-in?
It is. Yes.
So this includes trade-in?
Yep. Yes, it does. Yes, sir.
Well, Brad, my question's, why are you doing this? Typically, someone from one department doesn't do the purchasing for another department.
That's a good question. You know, I've worked with Jason, with the director of the department, and we came up with a list of specs. I had the copier contacts, so I told him that I would, you know, email out these list of specs to the various copy vendors, and he said that was okay. Got back the results, he signed off on them, so we needed to get a request for action because of the amount of money involved, and so here I am.
Well, keep in mind, I'm not opposed to it. Matter of fact, I've been a proponent of having a purchasing manager from within our total county concept. Going forward, I wouldn't be opposed if, just to say, from here forward, Brad does the purchasing for all copiers from within our organization, just to put some continuity to what we're doing. I find it that we're doing all 5 copiers. Does that mean all 5 of them over there are wearing out at the same time? I mean, I can't imagine that every copier copies the same amount and now they're over.
A little bit of history again. In 2014, when the transition was made, basically a new entity took over for the Saline County Health Department. The old copiers that were in place at the time were based on the old entity name, and they had to be, lawyers and such determined that they had to be changed out. So at that time, we did a lease for these copiers in 2014. The lease ran out 5 years later, around 2019, and we bought the lease out and paid the fair market value for the copiers at that time. And the vendor, Consolidated Maintenance, is the one that takes care of them. They say they cannot get parts for the model of copiers we have anymore, so they are in need of replacement.
Do these machines keep track of the number of copies that they have made?
They do. They have an internal counter.
And that would be interesting to look at sometime from your perspective. I don't necessarily need to know that, but if you've got one that's copying 1 million copies and another one that's doing 100,000, why are we trading in the 100,000? That's my point.
Yeah. And I think that number varies depending on what time of year and what cycles the health department is in. For example, WIC will go through a big mailer where they have to send out information. Home health may go through that same sort of sequence or cycle. And the administration department, with respect to vaccines and things like that, will have various times of the year where they have a big load on these copiers. So, but that number is available on them for sure. Yep.
And this is in addition to a printer on every computer over there, I assume?
No, it's not.
They don't have printers on their computers?
I will not say no one does, but
Okay.
to my knowledge, it's not an every, these are very much shared devices by the different departments.
Gotcha.
So when to pick up on that a little bit, so when someone that's helping a client that comes in and they have to print off their thing, they have to get up and go over to the copier to get the paperwork, as opposed to most desks, have a copier right there. In most businesses, I'm not saying the county does.
Yeah, I would say the best example I could give you is in the clinic. The receptionists are sort of in a rectangular area in the clinic, and their devices that they use to print off receipts and stuff like that are right there where they can get to them. And to my knowledge, I'm not sure about home health. That printer and copier is right there in that office as well. So even if they did have to get up to go get it, it wouldn't be a very long go. And I will also say in the clinic does have a toner-based printer only in that office as well. And that's not going to be replaced in this.
Brad, does the maintenance cost here, does that take care of the supplier here taking care of all the toner cartridges? Does that
Yes.
cover that?
Yes, everything but paper.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what I'm told.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the purchase of 5 copiers for the Health Department from Consolidated Printing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 152-22 copier replacement. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. That motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Brad. All right, we now move into our informational items. Item number 1.
Saline County Conservation District 2023 allocation request. Diana Harden, District Manager.
Good morning, Diana.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so you guys didn't get the full packet that you usually do this year, and I apologize. We were having some issues with our system last week, and so I will try and get you the most information that I can from my stuff here. As she said, my name's Diana Harden, the District Manager for Saline County Conservation District. My job is to educate people of all ages about stewardship practices and the wise use of our resources, our land, our water, all that kind of stuff, to reserve or to conserve those resources for the future. The last 2 years, COVID has put a damper on most of that. I haven't been able to do a lot of the things that I should, but I'm starting to see those restrictions lift, and I'm hopeful that this year and going forward, I'll be able to get out into the schools, I'll be able to do more field days and stuff like that. So far this year, I've already been able to do 2 field days, or help with 2 field days. And I was also able to go and help with the regional and state Envirothon competition, which is for the high schoolers. It's the natural resource competition for the high school students. We provide information available for state cost share programs. Funding for those programs is provided by the Kansas Department of Agriculture, Division of Conservation. And that money is through appropriation through the Kansas Water Fund. State aid, so the Division of Conservation will match county donations or county appropriated funds up to $25,000. It is my understanding that this year we're going to be fully funded. So if we get at least that $25,000 from the county, we're also going to get $25,000 from the state, which will help fully fund all of our counties and help us do what we do this next year. This year, the Board of Supervisors are requesting $24,150 from the general fund, and along with $4,500 from the Oliver Hag Education Fund. Our budget this year includes 2 full-time employees, myself, and we have a conservation technician. My salary is funded through the county as well as state funds. The county funds help provide the ability to support my salary and capers and benefits and stuff like that. And then other expenses, including the annual audit and our dues to different organizations. The conservation technician, his salary is supported by the state technical assistance funds. He provides the technical assistance to landowners and producers in the county in order to plan and design their practices or whatever that they're wanting to do. We are still in the process of hiring a soil health specialist, and his or her salary would be supported by the state technical assistance funds as well. And their job would include working with members of other agencies and associations to facilitate soil health management systems. And the employee would also remain current on the latest technology in soil health. We still have the 2 no-till drills that we rent out to producers for a small fee. The drill rental covers the expense of our drill manager, who delivers and picks up the drill, and then also does maintenance on the drills as well. I'd like to remind everybody that the services we provide are not available through the private sector or through other agencies or organizations. We administer the cost share, and to my knowledge, there's not any other entity that does that. This last year, with our partnership with NRCS, we were able to bring in over $1 million, $1,013,331.58 in cost share dollars in Saline County. That includes the waterways, terraces, septic system replacements, grass plantings, well pluggings, and nutrient management or soil health or soil test for landowners in Saline County. Some major highlights from 2021 that I thought were great. We weren't able to have our annual meeting in person because I got sick with COVID, but we were able to hold it virtually, and we had a mail-in ballot system. It worked out for what we needed it to. We sponsored one student to go to the Kansas Range Youth Camp in June. We had our Bankers Award Tour in October, where we were able to take several people around the county and give out our Bankers Awards for the year. And then I was able to attend the KACD convention in Wichita in November last year. We held all of our board meetings on schedule. We weren't able to meet in the office, but we were able to have all of our meetings on time. And then we created and mailed over 1,000 newsletters at the end of the year to send out to producers and landowners, letting them know what had gone on and what had changed in the year. Are there any questions? I do have 2 board members with me today. I have Lauren Barrett, my chairman, and then Connie Coxdorf is a member of our board as well.
I have a question, Diana.
Yes.
On your request. I don't recall in the past, maybe it has been done this way, but you're splitting this out between the county and the Oliver Haig Education Fund.
Yes.
Have you requested it to be that way in the past? I don't recall.
I believe so. I believe that's the way it's done. It's been done before because the Oliver Haig Fund is to be used for education purposes.
Right. It has restrictions placed on
Yes.
that, on how we can distribute those funds. That's kind of
Yes.
where I was getting at.
Yeah.
I guess a question for the administrator. The 25,000 match, and they're requesting 24,150, and then another 4,500 out of the Oliver Haig. Does the state consider that 4,500, partial amount of that 4,500 going towards a 24,150 to bring that threshold up to the 25,000?
Well, that's probably a question for Diana, but I
Oh,
would
okay.
assume they do, yeah.
I would assume that as long as we get at least, excuse me, at least $25,000 from the county, we'll get that $25,000 from the state. So the almost $29,000 total that we'll get from the county, we'll get the $25,000 from the state,
All right.
is my understanding.
I guess, historically, has that been the case?
It has been. I mean,
Okay.
that's been the stipulations.
Good enough.
It's been years, I think, since they've been able, if ever, to match the full 25,000. But the Division of Conservation did some work for us, which is with the legislators and stuff this year, and they're able to fully fund our budget, so.
Okay, and refresh me on last year's request and how much was received from the county?
I apologize, I don't have those numbers. I think last year we got from the county, I believe we got 23,000 plus the $4,500 Oliver Hag Fund.
Okay,
And from the state, I believe we got 22,000, somewhere around there, I believe.
Well, the thing that enters my mind right away, just a heads up, this is a tough year.
Yeah,
And, we don't know we're in the budget process of gathering numbers. We haven't had any talks yet on what we're really doing. And it's, hopefully we can give everybody every dime they're asking for, but
right,
until we get the final numbers in, it's going to, I don't know.
right.
You're certainly high on our list. I know that.
We appreciate that.
What you do for the rural community
And Diana,
agriculturally.
Yes.
oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I read here where your office is in the U.S. State Service Center. Is that on Iron or over on Broadway?
Yes, so my office is on Iron Street. The building on Broadway is the NRCS state office.
Okay,
And so that is just the NRCS, that's the federal state office
Okay.
for Kansas.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
No,
wanted
you're
to ask
fine,
that 'cause
because
I'm thinking, okay, which,
We actually get that a lot. When I talk to people outside of work, I tell them where I work, and they're like, oh, you're over here on Broadway. I'm like, well, not exactly, but yeah.
and,
just for general knowledge, are you a state employee then?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm technically a county,
Okay,
because, I mean, it's kind of weird how the hierarchy kind of breaks down and stuff. The Saline County Conservation is part of the Kansas Department of Ag Division of Conservation. We're just county level.
so earlier, and you said that none of these programs, now like the Kansas State Extension Office out there at K-State, don't they provide some of the same things that you're doing? Nothing? Okay, all right,
Nope. They will
do soil samples. and
They will
stuff
do
like
the
that.
soil samples and stuff like that, but as far as providing funding for those tests, yeah, that comes through the Conservation District
Okay,
and our state cost share program.
okay. So general speaking, is that farmers or whatever out here can come to your office to get that soil testing done?
They would
Oh,
contact K-State,
Okay.
and then K-State does the soil test, and then K-State Extension contacts us to get funding
that's how that.
for, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
I was just wondering there.
yeah, no, that's fine.
and one more time, Diana, would you introduce who's here with you?
Yes, I have, Lauren Barrett is my chairman. He's been on the board for 19 years now. And then I have Connie Coxdorf, and she's been on the district board for 18 years.
Well, I applaud you for stepping up to the plate for so many years.
Right.
All right, any other questions from the commission? Questions or comments from the public? All right, Diana, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2.
Health Department update, Jason Tiller, Director.
Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, gentlemen. You have to forgive me for not being in person. Felt it best not to share my germs with the group. For our update this time, this will cover from February until now. You should have a copy of it in front of you. Regarding COVID, we have closed out our active COVID response efforts, and case investigations transitioned to KDHE in February, excuse me. And we continue to monitor for any changes to COVID and any other infectious disease. Especially given, over the weekend, we had released within our community health matters just a situational awareness update that we have seen an increase in cases in the area over the previous month. Nothing has changed as far as the recommendations related to that, but we just want the public to be aware of that. As an extension of our work with infectious disease, we also held our first public health and human resources roundtable to discuss with human resources personnel and executive directors from organizations different things about what worked regarding health policy during the pandemic and what didn't. Also to be able to share best practices. And from this, we are intending to try and have a quarterly gathering of those specialty personnel to talk about the health policy as it relates to human resources and continue to kind of build that strength and that informational sharing amongst partners. In regards to our opioid data to action, this was one project we had started quite a while back, but it had been derailed a couple times due to COVID, was our opioid dashboard. We have lots of data and information related to substance use and misuse in Saline County on the dashboard. But before we published it to the public, we wanted to ensure, though, that there was also information on there about what to do and what's being done and who to contact. So we are updating that back end part of it so that not only will it have information about what's happening, but also information about how to get involved and where to find help as well. And so when we launch this, hopefully in mid-June, we'll also have some notices going out about it so people are aware and know where to look for this. Another project that had to be put on hold due to COVID was our strategic planning for the health department. We had it planned for last summer for a 2-day planning workshop, which had to be postponed in conjunction with Kansas KU Medical Center in order to establish our forward direction. We were able to finally get that rescheduled and have that here in this past month. However, my original expectation was that we would develop a 3 to 5 year type of long-term plan, but it quickly became evident that after the last 2 years, we needed to focus the next 12 to 18 months on rebuilding and recovering from the last 2 years of COVID so that we can create a more solid foundation. And so that will be ongoing. Clinic after the last 2 years has been reorienting to their previous services that they provided prior to COVID, such as STI testing and treatment, management and testing of TB, which still is around, vaccinations, women's health programs such as birth control, pap smears, cancer screenings. And with grant funds that we currently still have, we've also begun the process of exploring moving from paper to electronic health records. Additionally, too, one of the things that we had been wanting to do for a while was expand the types of insurance carriers that we are able to accept. So we have been working on that. Particularly one of that's important to me is TRICARE for our military veterans. Maternal child health, their Becoming a Mom program has moved from the CAPS building over to the health department. And this training is generally takes place the third week of each month. During the pandemic, it had been in a virtual process, but has now moved back to in person. Sherry Doctor, our MCH coordinator, presented at the 2022 Governor's Public Health Conference on perinatal peer support. And they have also established a perinatal peer support group that meets twice a month at the health department. Our administration area has seen some turnover due to life changes and moving. And, although we've experienced some struggles with hiring like many others, we finally were able to hire the last position, at least within our administration area. And that new person will start at the end of the month. Additionally, I was on a panel for discussing the future of public health in Kansas at the Governor's Public Health Conference, and also on a panel about misinformation at the Kansas County Commission Association. And I'm proud to say we also have two coordinators, Ashley Swanson and Tammy Schneider, who are completing the Public Health Leadership Series course with Wichita State University. Over the next 6 months, we still continue to recruit to try and fill our current vacancies. We'll also be collecting and consolidating any after-action reports related to the pandemic so that we can identify and mitigate gaps, be better prepared for future diseases. We're rebuilding the Health Department Advisory Council. We'll continue building on our strategic plan and implementation. And then on July 12th, the new KDHE Secretary, Janet Stanek, is scheduled to stop and tour the Health Department, and that time is still yet to be determined. You can see our budget comparisons there for 2021 and 2022. And that significant difference in revenue between the 2 years, I think, is generally due to the large infusions that we had last year of COVID grant dollars that have since been spent and used as we are spending down the current grants that we still have. And additionally, as part of our strategic planning when related to budget, we're also planning to, in this next year, try and complete a thorough fiscal analysis as well as some education for all staff on how the funding, basically how everything is funded, all the programs, the different types, et cetera, at the Health Department. And with that, I will open it up for questions.
One question I have, Jason, how many advisory meetings were there in 2022 so far?
In 2022, there have not been any so far. This will be the first one that's coming up with the, I think it's 6 members all in total that have agreed, that were from the previous advisory council that have agreed to be involved. And then we will be talking about trying to fill the 3 open positions. And then all of that will come before the commission for reappointments here in the next few months.
Any other questions for Jason? Questions, comments from the public? Okay, Jason, appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That takes us to item number 3.
County Administrator's Update.
Good morning, Commissioners. County Administrator Philip Smith-Haynes. Just a few items this morning. First, we've talked quite a bit about housing in the community, and so there are a few things going on. One is the second rural housing incentive district that the city of Salina is exploring. That one is called Aeroplanes, and we've been trying to schedule them to have a presentation in front of your body. That keeps getting pushed back for various reasons, but it now looks like June 7th we will have representatives from Aeroplanes here to discuss that project. The other significant one that you're aware of is the what I'm just going to start calling the Crawford Project, the old ambassador that's gone through several different names. Where we are on that is some local employers who've been asked to be a part of that process have had some suggestions that they've gone back to the Drever Group with, and we're trying to get a meeting scheduled for the first week in June on that to work through all that. We've also started the process now that the state has awarded funding in the state budget to the city of Salina to move that project forward. We've started working on an agreement between the county and the city to transfer our $1 million to them. So that will be coming back to you all at a future meeting. So that's what I have on housing at this point.
Can I ask a quick question on housing? I'll apologize.
Sure.
That's in the budget, but it hadn't been voted on, correct? The money from the state?
The state budget's complete.
It's completed. That's been
Yes.
voted in the,
And the governor signed it. Yes. Yeah.
thank you.
The second item to update on today is the Choose Saline County app. As you know, this is another one we've been working on for a while now. We are just in the process of finalizing, getting the number of local businesses on board to get that launched. We are planning on launching that on June 7th. We will have a proclamation in front of your commission, and then we would actually like to invite the commission after your meeting to go over to the chamber and do an actual ribbon cutting for that. So we'll have more details coming out about that. Just a reminder that Memorial Weekend is coming up, and so most county offices will be closed next Monday, and also there will not be a meeting of this commission next Tuesday. That's one of the ones that you all canceled at your when you adopted the resolution in December. And then the last thing, the chairman asked me if we would like to move everybody back up on the dais at this point. So I was just wondering how folks felt about that. There's still, of course, room for a little bit of social distancing up there, but not the full 6 feet. So curious if there was any feedback from commissioners on that.
I'm fine with that.
I'd be
so.
fine with it.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with what we're doing now, and I'm good with if you want to do the other way too. So, but with the distancing you're talking about, I mean, like every other.
Say, bring everybody to the dinner table then. All right, we move to item number 4.
Commissioners' comments?
I have a comment or a question or a suggestion to the administration. I watched the city commission meeting last night, and towards the end that they had something to do with Schilling Road east of Ohio Street. And one of the commissioners brought it up that it wasn't up to snuff or whatever, and their city manager reminded them that that was a county road. And of course, they acknowledged that on both sides of that road, it has been annexed into the city. I believe it was the planning director then came on board to give a little bit of background, and he said that in 1993, I believe he said, the flooding on Schilling Road from 9th Street to Ohio was significant, washed out the road. At the time it was a county road. The city agreed to take that road over and make the upgrades and would take it over from that point forward. At that point, he said the county commission agreed at that in 1993 to take over the maintenance of Schilling Road east of Ohio in perpetuity and forever. You're going to do it forever. And I would like to know, and now at that time, the properties to the east were not in the city. So I would like to know, I mean, is there a position that whatever happens on Schilling Road is all up to the county from this point forward forever? And I'd like to have some background on that.
Well, I'll just say as a matter of law, generally a former commission cannot bind a future commission. So unless there was an agreement with that in writing, I would say that's a nice piece of history that's probably legally unenforceable.
Well, you know,
but I'll certainly have a conversation with Mr. Montoya. He's been around here a long time and has been involved in many of those conversations over time. Facts have certainly changed since 1993, as you noted, Commissioner. And so they are in the process of developing housing both on the north and south sides of Schilling Road east of Ohio. And I expect that that county road, which is a gravel road, would generate some dust concerns for people who are living in brand new houses on both sides of that road. So that's a situation that didn't exist in 1993.
Well, it would be tough for the county to take a county road and bring it up to city standards, curb and guttering and so forth with county funds, that's for certain. So, at any rate, if you can bring us a little bit of something back from that review, I'd appreciate it.
Any other comments? Move to item number 5.
Announcements?
One announcement, I attended the Skeeto meeting on May 19th, and it was a lot of the usual business attractions coming to town, or hopefully coming to town. Also, projects that are in the works. And one of the big items that came up was child care activities, and Skeeto has become very involved, along with other partners, including the county, of trying to address the child care, daycare problem that exists in Saline County. So they are being aggressive and looking into solutions to that problem, which I was glad to see. Any other announcements?
I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention, again, it was touched on briefly, but Memorial Day, and to remember Memorial Day, and remember Memorial Day, what it really means. And everybody does that in their own way, and but take time to acknowledge Memorial Day.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, staff would request a few executive sessions this morning. For starters, we would request that the commission recess to executive session under the employer-employee negotiations exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss labor negotiations for 20 minutes and reconvene in this room at 10:53.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Okay, moved and second that we recess the executive session for employer-employee negotiations for 20 minutes. And be back in the room at 10:53? 10:53. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. session. We're going to need a second. Okay. No action was taken in that executive session. Item number 2.
Staff would request that the commission recess to executive session under the non-elected personnel exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss department head evaluation for 7 minutes and reconvene in this room at 11:01.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session for non-elected personnel and return back in this room at 11:01. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. taken. We'll move to item number 3.
Mr. Chairman, staff would request that the commission again recess to executive session under the non-elected personnel exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss an additional department head evaluation. Let's do 10 minutes this time and reconvene in this room at 11:11.
So moved.
Second.
We'll move in second. We go into executive session for department head evaluation and return at 11:11. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion. for bearing with us. All right, it is 11:11, and that executive session is ended, and no action was taken. That being said, I entertain a motion for,
So moved.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and second. We adjourn this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0.